So I originally got involved in the movement to start a union here, partly because of wages and benefits, but mostly because of issues of faculty governance. And I had a sense, as many people did, that faculty governance and faculty authority was shrinking, and the power of central administrators to make decisions about curriculum, about many things on campus, was growing. And so it seemed to me that we were no longer able to just make appeals through the Senate or as individual faculty members on the basis of our traditional authority as such, because kind of broadly changes in the structure of higher education, particularly public higher education, were such that it seemed to me and other people, I think, that there was no way really to provide kind of a counterbalance to the direction things were going unless we were to form a union. So I got involved maybe a few years after the original group began trying to organize towards a union. And I think, for me it became increasingly clear that the University Senate was kind of acting more as a kind of, high school student government with no real power and just a lot of discussion, a lot of making resolutions, but really not an ability to do much. And we were in the midst of a lot of kind of structural changes, and we had kind of a growing sports program which was very successful and very big, and we had a donor class who seemed to be making more and more decisions about what happened on campus. So it seemed to me that I guess I was approached by a few people who I really respected and liked, and kind of thought that their analysis of the way things were going kind of resonated with mine in terms of campus governance, in terms of things actually happening from the departmental level on up, that seemed like it could be fruitfully taken up if we were to form a union. There were also issues about kind of growing numbers of adjunct positions, and kind of a growing kind of class difference between tenure track faculty and non-tenure track, and there's kind of a general fragmentation that was going on that seemed kind of unhealthy for pedagogy, it seemed unhealthy for research, it seemed unhealthy for kind of, particularly for students, what they were getting out of this. So those were some of the things that we had kind of a series of, a number of presidents who kind of were coming and going over a short period of time, and things also seemed to be getting less and less stable here as opposed to more stable. And the struggle for a union seemed to be one of the stabilizing forces on campus. And so it was actually really terrific to have a space to talk with other faculty members, to talk with a number of faculty members at once who were thinking and trying to problem solve on the same set of issues and concerns and anxieties that I had and other people like me had. So this was kind of difficult work, and partly because it meant convincing other members of the faculty that they had something to gain from this, or that they might not see themselves as workers in the same way that other people see themselves as workers. But in a fully corporate environment, we're all workers is the thing. And I think that there's kind of a sense many professors have that we're part of an ancient guild, that we have inalienable rights, that our position is steadfast and traditional. And that we work as individuals. We are in the classroom by ourselves. We do our own research. Some of it might be collaborative, but at the end of the day, we are all kind of independent agents in this process. So both those things, I think, kind of pushed against people's idea that a union could fix problems. A lot of people had the same concerns, the same feelings, the same anxieties, but it was a matter of an interpretive framework through which to see their own position. And I think so. It was difficult, actually, at first to talk with a lot of people about what was going on in the university in terms that could convince them that working together we could really improve things. We could stabilize things, we could standardize things, we could make things work for everybody better, we could have more clear conversations among ourselves, between departments, between schools, as well as between tenure track and non-tenure track faculty about what's the best way of moving forward to kind of keeping this a thriving research university. So those were some of the kind of the challenges we had early on, and it meant going door to door and talking to faculty members and some people were quite receptive, other people were quite hostile, and so it was really, it was hard work, kind of learning how to think this way, how to make arguments this way, how to be an organizer, and how to. But the great thing about it was really an education in terms of how the university worked and how we saw ourselves, and really, I think it was an education for a lot of us doing this. How broad and variegated the university was. We were often in schools or in spaces none of us had ever been before, talking to different kinds of people. None of us, people's positions changed so much, or differed so much that it was really a great thing to kind of learn kind of what we all did here together. And I think that would have been impossible to do without kind of a collective effort to find some way as faculty members to think through and articulate a vision of what we wanted the university to be, not just what senior administrators kind of thought maybe it should be. Which also made it really meaningful at a different level. It wasn't just a structural or an abstract issue about us unionizing. It was really meaningful actually to work with people and get to know people and figure this stuff out together and think through this with a bunch of other people who were both sharp and committed to this project, which is not to say that we had all the answers worked out. We really didn't. And so there's a lot of thinking through what this would look like, how we would do it, how we could do it, what our relationship was with other people on campus, officers of administration, students, undergraduate students, graduate students, alumni, other people, and so all this kind of came into play as we're thinking about who we were and what we saw ourselves as doing, as well as figuring out our location in relationship to other universities in the state, other public universities in the Oregon system, as well as other possible allies both in higher education and labor across the state, which was new for us. I think there had been kind of an insularity in Eugene and on campus in terms of who we were and what we were doing, and begin to reach out and talking to people kind of in politics and in labor elsewhere across the state was a really terrific experience. I think it's really made an extraordinary difference. Once we moving to the vote, and once we voted to form a union, that was great. It was really terrific, and you could feel kind of there'd been a lot of pushback from the administration about this, and a lot of kind of fear-mongering and a lot of negative propaganda about what would happen, and kind of everything from apocalyptic visions to just kind of like gnashing of teeth over how this was going to drag us down and make us mediocre and take out anything that was good about the university. And so once the vote happened, once there was a majority of us who wanted to see this happen, things differed. The administration had to realize, oh, okay, well, this is actually going to take place now. We have to reorient ourselves to this new reality. And we also, as a union, had to figure out, okay, well, now we have to bargain this contract, and now we have to figure out what it's going to look like. And then once our first contract was in place, it was clear that the union could do a great role in both protecting individual members, everybody in our bargaining unit. We could help provide salary floors for NTTF and provide clear language about workload and clear language about what people could be asked and couldn't be asked to do. And long overdue raises, which had a great, the raises weren't huge, but they had an extraordinary psychological effect. I think made people feel really valued and hopeful in ways that they had not in years. And so as opposed to being demoralizing, it was actually quite moralizing. So that was great, and also there was a sense that power on campus had shifted a little bit. So we, one of the things that the union really had wanted to do from the beginning was really support the Senate and support faculty governance, and we were able to do that. We were able to support the Senate, and the Senate knew they had our backing, and so that was great. We had bargained for really powerful free speech and academic speech language in the contract, which was great for all of us as teachers in terms of what we do and what we can be punished for doing and what we can't be punished for doing. And it kind of just, it transformed, I think, elements of what we do and how we do it in really terrific ways. And also I think a lot of people who were kind of on the fence about the union, I think felt like, oh, okay, this is actually pretty good. It actually helps stabilize things, actually makes things run more efficiently, and things aren't terrible, and people got pay raises, and it was a bunch of good things came out of it. Like a lot of really good things came out of it, and the bargaining team was really terrific, and we had a really great staff, and we had a really committed executive council, and so I think that there was. I'm biased, of course, around this, but I think there was a kind of a general sense that this. The union was going to be an important and good and responsible partner, I think, in the university. So, a number of things have come up that I think the senior administration has had to realize it had to think about our collective bargaining contract in terms of things that it wanted to do going forward. And so it brought us into consultations with senior administration around a number of things that we actually were able to work closely with academic affairs and work closely with other bodies in the administration that were helpful to them, helpful to us, and we developed a good collaborative relationship, I think, which was good, while protecting the rights and benefits of members. So that's all been terrific, I think. The other thing is that we have, as a bargaining unit of 1,800 people, we also have a voice in Salem that we didn't have before, which is really powerful. It's really great to be able to go to talk to legislators in Salem, or sponsor legislation, or co-sponsor legislation, or endorse it. And know that this means that there's a lot of people who are behind this. We can talk with our local members of the State House or the State Senate and have their ear, and they are interested to hear what we have to say, and we're interested to hear what they have to say, and we have good working relationships there. So I think politically it's kind of helped boost the possibilities for kind of greater concern in Salem for higher education, which helps everybody, whether you're in the union or not. And we've worked closely with student organizations as well, and with administrations on some things, but not on other things. So kind of as a collective, and classified staff as well. So in collective efforts with different constituencies, we've been able to move things up and forward in the state, which I think has been great and is building and will become more so over time. So that's another thing. I think Oregon is a small state, and so we have potentially more kind of influence in the state at this size than we might other places, but here it's been very positive, and we've made good alliances with different folks and and other unions and other universities who are similarly positioned. The state of Oregon has decentralized its boards, its governing boards, and so now we're no longer under one governing board, but we all face a series of similar conundrums about what a board is, what a board should be doing, what our relationship to the boards should be. And students have that question, faculty have that question, classified staff have the question, and so we've been able to work in really in close touch with other constituencies around the state and other people who are facing these same kind of things, and so that's been really terrific. I think that a lot will depend in the future on how much we are able to continue to engage the membership and build the membership. In order for us to survive and thrive as a union, we're going to have high percentage of memberships. So we just really need to build members, and we also need to have people involved. And we've done a lot of things towards that end. We began this year a faculty support and mentoring program, which is helping new faculty figure out what they need to do to move forward. And we're beginning to generate more ideas about how we can actually be a union that just is helpful and useful to people in their everyday lives, not just at bargaining time, and not just in terms of state politics, but just in terms of everyday life here as a faculty member, how to make it less alienating, less bewildering, more useful, more social, more community focused. And so I think our ability to thrive is going to depend on how well we do that. So far we've been a really democratic bottom-up union, and a lot of what we are doing and have done has come from an active membership and a lot of people willing to step into leadership roles, which has been terrific. We need to keep moving people in and through, cycling them through those roles, and getting more people involved, which will also mean we have to have a union that listens closely to what its members want. So if that happens, it'll be great. Public sector unions face extraordinary challenges right now. There's going to be a Supreme Court decision in June, which is not going to have a happy outcome, I think, but it will require us to be, the good side is it will really require us to be an active, living organization that continually engages and draws people in. The union faces a number of challenges right now, partly because they have a Supreme Court decision, the Friedrichs versus the California Teachers Association, which will probably happen in June, which will get rid of fair share provisions, which will require unions to really build up their membership if they're going to survive. But which makes things difficult for locals, for state organizations, and for national unions. But I think it provides us an opportunity to really think in new ways, kind of the way that the labor movement thought about it in the 1920s and teens, about how to engage members and how to bring them in and how to do the active face-to-face organizing, which will make us an alive, active union, and I think actually which will support teaching and research and university imperatives as well as just work imperatives.